Okay, hi everyone. This one is I'm putting this out there on YouTube, and it's a discussion which is going on the Facebook group page where Famid Asan has put up a good question. Sorry, I can't pronounce your names. I suck at names. And he's wondering why there's been no real Nikon D700 replacement. Do I have my D700? Where is it? No? Okay, I don't know where my camera is just now, but he's wondering why has there been no D700 replacement. So everyone who don't know about Nikon, don't bother watching this video. This is just for us Nikon geeks, fans, lovers to really talk about. And he's saying, you know, in like Canon, they went from the Canon 5D Mark II to the 5D Mark III, which is an upgrade in both its autofocus. I think its dynamic range has got a little bit better. It's a tiny bit more megapixels, but it's mainly kind of its autofocus and its ISO ability in the Canon. It's great, pretty much the same camera, but more responsive in the ways that everyone wanted it to be. And it's got better audio for the video and all that kind of stuff. With Nikon has brought out a load of cameras. It's brought out the D4, the D800, the D600, the D5200, and none of them seem to be a good replacement for the D700. For me, if any of you are watching this just now, I have absolutely no plans of upgrading my D700. I use it for everything. It's a fantastic camera and it fits, or it fills, or fulfills all my needs. It also means that my workflow is at the pace which is good enough for me, like the speed of the editing and the kind of uploading and processing and all that kind of stuff is all fast enough with what I've got. So with my 27-inch Mac and it's all quad processors and stuff, everything runs nice and smoothly. The photos which I took when I had a test with the Nikon D800, the 36 megapixel camera, editing those photos took a little bit longer. As in, if I were to do, let's say I was burning in the sky, I would, in Lightroom, bring up the brush and scribble over the sky area to make it a little bit darker. But I would scribble over, and then slowly I would see it covering over the ground, like, oh, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. So for me, going to one of these super megapixel cameras is just too slow. In fact, I even get that with the Canon 5D Mark II. Like this 21 megapixel, I can't remember, 21 megapixel camera, I find that is slow even on my super, or the editing of the raw files of that, quite slow, or just not as super fast as I want it to be. So for me, even the Canon 5D Mark II at 21 megapixels is a bit overkill for me. And with Nikon, it's bizarre. They've brought out, like before, the Nikon D3X was their 24 megapixel flagship uber camera, which everyone's like, oh my god, it's so amazing, it's got so many pixels. And it was amazing, it still is amazing. But now they've brought out their D800, which is 36 megapixels. Everyone's like, oh my god, it's just like medium format. Yeah, kind of in a way, with the number of pixels it almost is there. It certainly beats a couple of medium format cameras for resolution. However, you've really got to have good lenses for that. Then it brought out the D600, which is a smaller bodied, full frame, 24 megapixel camera. So I'm like, cool, this is like the D3X in a smaller body. Body is smaller, lighter, brilliant, that's cool, I like that. It means if I'm doing video stuff, it's nice and smooth and easy and good to work with. But it's not, again, 24 megapixels, too much for me. I'm not really bothering with that at all. And now recently they've brought out the 5200, which is a DX size sensor, so the smaller size sensors. And that is also a 24 in fact, it's got the D3200, which is also a 24 megapixel camera. And that's in the DX format, so it's a smaller sensor with more megapixels, well, there's a lot of pixels on a smaller sensor, and yet they're kind of consumer grade cameras, which you kind of think, wait a minute, that amount of pixels on that smaller sensor, and yet the lenses which the people that would be buying those cameras, they're probably going to be buying the cheaper versions of everything, like the kit. They'll probably be buying their D3200 with the kit lens, the fit was 18 to 55. which in terms of sharpness is probably fine for taking photos, but why are they pumping in 24 million pixels for what will inevitably be 95 to 99% of the photos taken and put onto Facebook? The people that will be using those cameras, unless you are a really hard-working photographer that you're busting your ass and you just don't have enough money to pay for the more expensive cameras, but because you spend all your money on your lenses, then that's absolutely fine. As long as you've got great lenses, getting the D3200 and the 5200, that's awesome. They can fulfill your needs if you need super mega loads of pixels. If you need faster frames a second, maybe not so much. But if you need dynamic range, I think these new cameras with the new sensors are coming out great. But if you are shooting, I've read somewhere where if you were to upscale a DX size sensor with 24 megapixels on it up to a full frame, let me get this right, up to a full frame, it would have to be somewhere around about a 46 megapixel full frame camera. It's either 46 or like 50. Can't remember the maths on it. If any of you know, put the maths down below. But it's just like, wow, that's a lot. That's a heck of a lot. And yet, the resolution, the resolving ability of many of the lenses that Nikon has, especially for the DX lenses, isn't going to get even near the quality of, like, they're making cameras where the sensor is so good that the people that are buying it are, it's like buying, what is it like buying? Is there a comparison to this? That is like somebody buying, if I'm trying to put this in terms of car, it's like somebody buying a Volkswagen Beetle but it's got a Bugatti engine in it. And yet they've got a speed limiter on it that won't let them go above 70 miles an hour. That's how I kind of see these new cameras that have come out. And it's only a car which only beginners can get. It's just like, I really don't understand where Nikon is going, and that's kind of the chat that's going on over here. Just saying, look, commercially is a fantastic move by Nikon. It's got the D4 if you need your super fast frames a second, and you don't need your huge number of megapixels. It's got like 16 megapixels, so that's great if you're out and shooting stuff. And if you're in a studio and you need super resolution and you've got great lenses that can get that resolution, then you've got the D800. It's like, cool. D800 isn't going to be stealing any business or customers from the D4. They're two completely different things. The what's below that? Okay, the D600 that's come out, 24 megapixels, smaller body, completely different audience from it. So in the past, when it was the D3 and the D700, the D700 sucked loads of customers away from the Nikon D3 because it was effectively the same sensor in a smaller, lighter body, had less frames a second, but that was pretty much the only difference, really. It was lighter body, smaller body, and less frames a second. But those two things are good things, and those less frames a second is a little bit less thing. But otherwise, I was like, why bother spending almost double the amount for the D3? Now, in Nikon terms, it's like, cool, we are covering the market and we're not replicating the same thing in the same places. But, I suppose at the same time, the D3200 and the D5200, pretty much roughly the same kind of sensors. Oh, in terms of megapixels, maybe one's got a newer sensor which is from Nikon and not from Sony, and it's meant to be a little bit better, but would the people that are buying those cameras ever find out the difference? Would they ever go, oh, obviously that photo was taken with a D3200 and not a D5200? It just seems like they're just putting in sort of good technology into stuff which people don't A, need, B, will notice, or C, will have the equipment to get that goodness out of that camera. So, yeah, in the past, Nikon was all like, yeah, we don't need loads of megapixels, we're all about having low noise, and now it's just like, we're all over the place. So for me, if you're just wondering, no, I'm not upgrading anything at any time, anytime soon. My idea was always skip a generation, or skip a level and a generation, or whatever. This generation that's out just now isn't really tickling my boat for anything. Maybe once in the future that, Lightroom 6 comes out and we're able to get 60 frames a second, full HD with internal stabilizing and super high dynamic range video, then I'll upgrade. But just now, nah. Because what I think is that Nikon and Canon, they've got the ability, or they've got the expertise, or they've got the companies which they can say, oi, make me 100 megapixel camera, 100 million pixel sensor, put it in a full frame, give me 15 stops of dynamic range, I want 120 frames a second, a full HD, and I want full 4K video all in this sensor, and I want it so it's got no... They've got the ability and the money to make that right now, but they're obviously not going to do that because A, it'd be very expensive, B, there isn't the customer for that yet, nobody really needs that or wants that or has the computer to edit that kind of stuff. Like, if you go to Red, for example, they can give you a £15,000 camera, which is actually cheap in terms of what it can do, which is a digital camera which can do, like, look up Red Epic and Red 1 and Red Phantom as well. Like, everything about it is, Check those out. That's what you could get if Nikon and Canon just went, actually, let's just do it. Let's just do what we can. So just now, yeah. What's your thoughts on the Nikon not really coming out with the D700? But what would, okay, here's my question. What would the D700 replacement be? For me, it would be 14, 15, 16 megapixel camera. At the moment, the D700 can do 7 frames a second, so do I need more than 7 frames a second? Not a chance. Okay, so 14 to 16 megapixels, 7 frames a second, cool. Dynamic range, increase, that'd be good. ISO ability. The D700 is so damn good that, yeah, if we can have more, more is good. If we can get it down to, so it goes down to ISO 100, like a real 100, not the fake 100 that it has, and if we can get it so that it's just cleaner, a little bit higher up, that'd be good. And if we can increase the D700's dynamic range so it's awesome, then that would be stuff which I would be interested in. And also then what I'd definitely be wanting is like badass video functions where I could go on a skiing holiday and I'll be shooting some guys doing some snowboarding stuff and I can slow-mo, super HD, sexy movement, slow stuff. I like make it super slow. That'd be cool. At the moment, in fact, GoPro are like humping the world and everything. Check out the GoPro Hero 3 Black Edition. They're giving out a camera which is effectively not that size anymore, but it's more like that size, like the size of this LED part of the GoPro. It's a lot smaller, but yeah, it's got cinema level resolution, and it's giving 60 frames at full HD and all that kind of stuff. It's just like, so good. So yeah, maybe my GoPro Hero 2 might be getting replaced if I go on a ski holiday, but at the moment, this still rocks my world. So I don't even need to replace this. But anyway, yeah, technology is so awesome just now, and it's coming out with stuff which is even more awesome, but at the same time, just kind of going, don't really need it, because the stuff you've given me is so good. But tell me what you think, and tell everyone else what you think as well, down below in the comments. Cheers, bye-bye.